having cellulite on the backs of my thighs was an epic failure. I had told myself this story as a thin presenting woman. One of the big regrets that I do have is that I spent so many years torturing myself with this idea and this belief that my body was not worthy. How did I absorb that message? Hello, beautiful. My name is Dr. Amanda Hanson, also known as the Midlife Muse. Before we get into today's beautiful conversation, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this channel. When I think about the fact that I am now 50 years old, and I look at what regrets I've had, what I would do differently about my life, it's really incredible to me that I have so few regrets. One of the big regrets that I do have, and that I want to share here, is that I spent so many years torturing myself with this idea and this belief that my body was not worthy of getting up in a swimsuit at a pool, a public pool, or a public beach to walk towards the water and submerge myself. And the reason why is I had told myself this story as a thin presenting woman that having cellulite on the backs of my thighs was an epic failure, and that it would be such an embarrassment and disappointment of my own self to showcase that. And so I remember I would sit down in chairs at public pools, at hotels, at beaches all over the world, and I would not take my cover up off until I was already in the chair, and then I would shimmy it out from underneath me. And often I would not go into the pool. If I did, I had a strategy as to how I would get there. I would make sure it was when the least amount of people were there. And I was so conscious and put so much energy into thinking about, and then when I'm done, I have to get up and walk back to my chair. Same with the beach. And I think about all these beautiful, incredible vacations where I could have lived more fully and more enjoyment. And what was I worried about? For who? The thought of a stranger. I was in a prison because I was worried about someone else and what they may think. And it was really about the embarrassment and even this idea that I would be a disappointment. A disappointment to virtual strangers. How did I absorb that message? I think we all know I absorbed that message because of all the messaging that we as women get from the time we are very young girls about all the things that are wrong with us and our bodies. And so when I look back at all the years that I could have been more fully in my joy, I wish that I could change that. And now every time I am at a pool, I am at a beach, I get up and I walk proudly into the water, and I have no even thoughts or apologies about it in my own head any longer. I have completely released this idea that I owe anybody anything, that my legs are only worthy of getting up and walking if they look completely flawless. I now know that that's a completely ridiculous ideology to ever have attached myself to, but it has taken all of these years and lots of work and lots of self-love and lots of wisdom to release that very limited, trapped mindset that I was operating under. What I wish I would have done is what I've done for the majority of every other aspect of my life, and it seemed often easier to operate from this ideology of whenever I had a decision to make about almost anything in life, I asked myself, okay, Amanda, you've got this decision to make. Are you going to decide to make that decision and let love lead or fear lead? When I work with clients, And I have cases or situations that feel initially so difficult, so overwhelming, so hard, so much pain, so much trauma. And they want to work with me. And then I get to decide, am I going to lean into the story of fear that there's no possible way I will be able to help this woman, or am I going to lean into love that says everything is possible when we hold space for women, when we witness them in the hardest hours of their life? When I had to decide around childbirth, am I going to feel fearful about childbirth, or am I going to lean into love and the thought that women have been doing this for thousands and thousands of years? I love my body. I trust my body. I'm not going to even read about, listen to, or buy into the fear that the medical system is trying to tell me about what will happen on that day. So I did just that. I leaned into love, and I let my body lead me on the journey. When I was leading with love, I was open. My physical body, my heart was open. I remember at one point when I was in the transition phase between stage 1 and stage 3 of labor, right before pushing, there's that phase they call transition. I remember my contractions peaking so overwhelmingly and letting out the most guttural noises of my entire lifetime. And had this moment where I remember everything could have shifted in that moment. And I was leaning over the bed. I was on my feet and I was leaning over the bed, and my husband was on the other side holding my hands. And I looked up at him and I said, I need to channel all of the women around the world right now who are in labor. I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with all the women in the world. And with every guttural moan, and with every time I would start to feel the push about to begin, I knew I was not alone in that room. Even if my husband felt scared, I chose love. When it came time for us deciding to adopt children, was I going to lead with fear of what if my heart isn't capable? What if they are so different from me and we never actually bond? Or was I going to lead with love and know that the potential of the human heart expands anything and everything? And sure enough, I led with love. And I know with all of my heart that it has made me the woman that I am today. When I think or believe that I can't possibly love anymore, the heart space just keeps opening. So when people ask me, Amanda, what do you regret the most about these 50 years of life? What do you wish you could have done differently? What would you go back and change? I have to say, in all truth, in the deepest place of my soul, there's almost nothing I would change. I have lived not without fear. I've just never let fear be the driver in the front seat of my life. Yes, I've had fear at times, but it's not led the story. It's been in the background. I've calmed its activation. I've calmed its desire to come up and tell me all the reasons why I should make a different decision. But for the most part, the littlest decisions to the largest have been made in the place of love. And so for those of you who have big decisions to make in your life, I encourage you, whenever you are confronted with a decision and you're not sure what to do, get still and quiet and go inward and access love. See what is possible when you lean into the story of, if I make this decision through the lens and the heart of love, what is possible? It will feel very different when you start to lead that way. Choose love and watch the most magical, unbelievable life unfold in front of you. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe. I'm so honored to be here with you, and I look forward to next time. Love always, Amanda.